We live in a time when innovation and creativity are the path to autonomy, success, and unlimited potential. But our education system is trapped in the industrial age. We are still being fed the story that job security equals freedom. For many of us, that just isn't good enough. Every week, I'm bringing you the stories and experiences of entrepreneurs who don't accept the narrative that there is only one path to success. Their entrepreneurial journey is allowing them the freedom to prioritize both their businesses and their families. They are intentionally building a legacy to lead their family into a new era of innovation and growth. This is Our Modern Heritage Legacy Secrets, and I'm your host, Jody Chafee. Awesome. I want to welcome to the show, Christina Pena. She is a mom of two beautiful children and a wife and a serial entrepreneur. Welcome, Christina. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
So tell us more about your business. What do you do?
Thank you. Okay, so I have a few businesses, but my main business is I actually help entrepreneurs with their profit. So I am by trade an accountant. I'm an enrolled agent with IRS. And early on, I started out doing bookkeeping and helping entrepreneurs or just small business owners at the time with their accounting. And I realized that there was such a need for somebody to help business owners save money and increase their profits, because everybody was so fixated on sales and revenue and, oh, I made 2 million in sales. But at the end of the day, I would look at their financials and they were negative, or they were making only 10 grand or 20 grand and working so hard, and nobody really focused on their profit, on tax savings. And so that is what I've based the business on, to really help entrepreneurs focus on what really matters, which is the bottom line.
Right. I started reading a book about profits first, and
Yeah.
how people don't think about that until after they paid all their expenses, and it's like, oh wait, now nothing's left. And so that's good that there are people like you who are going, no, let's put our priorities in order here and make sure that your work is paying off. So that's awesome. So what inspired you to get started with building a business in the first place?
So I learned very early on that I was pretty much going to be unemployable my whole life, because I marched to the beat of my own drum. I didn't really like following, I'm great at following direction. I have no problem. I was pretty much a straight A student growing up. So I follow direction if it's something that I like and love to do. But if you're going to sit me at a desk doing a mundane task over and over and I hate it, I'm going to be horrible, the worst employee ever. And that's what I was finding, is I just wasn't finding anything that I loved, and I finally fell in love with just accounting. And I said, if I can do this for myself, this is a win-win situation. And so I fell in love with entrepreneurship at a very young age. I believe I was 18 years old, and I just started kind of helping people right after high school. I went into college for accounting, and I started just I love the numbers, but I didn't love that I worked so hard for somebody for what seemed like pennies, really,
Right.
And even to this day, it's kind of sad, because just a while back I would look at ads, on Craigslist or wherever, and they require so much of you, like CPA, and they require like a list this long, and they want to pay like $40,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
And
Like, no thanks.
And I'm like, I have this love of numbers and solving puzzles and helping people with money, but I'm getting paid nothing. And so that's the part that I felt made me unemployable, because I thought, I need to get paid for what I'm doing, and I thought the best way to do that and I had friends who were going to big four firms, and, they were doing their entry level CPA stuff, and they were busting their butt, not sleeping and working and making 40 grand a year. And they were happy with that. And I was like, okay, I live in San Diego. We're
Oh,
not
yeah.
with $40,000 a year at all,
Yeah.
So I thought I want to be different. I have to be different. I want to be rich. It was my thought. I want to be um, well enough that I don't have to worry about money. I don't want to be on a budget. And that's what really motivated me. I want to have kids, and eventually I want, at the time I thought I want to be able to make money but stay home and kind of be with them too. I wanted it all. And I thought the only path is going to be entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. So that was a part of your decision of this whole process, was you're thinking of,
Oh,
your future family going, I want the freedom, the autonomy,
absolutely.
and the income to have that, to have the
Yes.
freedom and stability that you wanted. So that's interesting that you saw that this hourly exchange of my time thing is not going to work.
No, and
Yeah.
growing up, both my parents were in the workforce, and like my dad, we never were really able to see dad until after work, and so like any volunteer opportunities or things like that. I mean, it's just was like the normal household. Dad works 9 to 5, and my mom. She actually was diagnosed with autoimmune disease, so she had to stop working. But this was already later in the game. Earlier in the game, she was working. You have a two-parent working household, which started becoming the norm, and then you don't
Yeah.
see your parents. And I still have a lot of friends to this day that do the 9 to 5, and their husbands do the 9 to 5, and they literally pick up the kids from daycare at 6 p.m. and barely get to feed them and hang out with an hour, and then they go to sleep, and they do it all
Yeah.
over again. And I didn't want that, what I had from my kids. I wanted something different.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. And so, how do you see this impacting your kids? How much do you get to spend a lot of time with them and you're able to keep them home and
Because of our business, my husband was able to retire. He doesn't have to work a 9 to 5. So he is just as present as I am. So he
wow.
helps with taking the kids my older one, to school. Just last Friday, she had a big jogathon, and I wasn't able to make it because I was like dead sick.
Hmm.
And just went to the jogathon, FaceTime me, and was able to be there. So she sees that there's a parent present. And she tells me that a lot of the kids whose parents work, they were crying because the parents can't be there, or if they have bring your parent to lunch day, they're never able to go, and you see kids crying on the side, and it's just sad. But I mean, it's what's the norm. Parents have to work, unfortunately. So
Yep.
yeah, I see that we are completely able to be present for almost everything, unless it's like, I can't for whatever reason, but 98% of the time we're there, both of us, if not one of us, for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. But you're right, this whole thing about how typical 9 to 5 is just normal. I think, in our history, we went through this time period where it was like, well, mom wants to go to work, and so dad wants to go to work, and so we're just all going to work. But more than that, it's like we can't afford not to.
Yeah.
It's become this place where if mom and dad aren't both working, then we can't afford to live. And so that's really awesome that you're able to crack the code of your
Well,
autonomy and your
yeah,
freedom.
and some of them, like you just said, you make such a good point. Either you're going to work because you need to. You can't make ends meet, especially here in like San Diego or like San Francisco, New York, like the cities that are just
DC.
so expensive to live in. But some people, they get, I think I call it like the Facebook disease or something, where they want to be like somebody else. They
Mm,
see that this person has a nice car, a big house, and they want the finer things in life, but they're making these wages that don't equal that. And so now they're working overtime. Now they got the wife working overtime, so now everybody's working so hard to put, because things are expensive. I just talked
yeah.
to one of the dance moms, because I'm a dance mom too, and she just said, God, we spent $15,000 last year just on dance stuff. And I'm
Wow.
and this other lady was saying, well, I got to pay for soccer tryouts, that's 3,000, and cheerleading. And I'm just like, it's expensive. And you
Yeah.
want to give your kids these experiences, so here you go, working overtime and not seeing your kids for 3 weekends because you have to make this money to pay for these things. So
Wow.
yeah. rough.
It is rough. And that's one of the things that I like to talk about is with entrepreneurship and being intentional about our family culture is that we can make a decision. You know what I mean? There are options. And
Yeah.
that's the message that I want to get out there for people is that it's like it doesn't have to be always this 9 to 5. There are options. And
Yeah.
I mean, there are barriers to starting businesses and there are obstacles or things that are there are trials, right? We have to get work through figuring things out, but it's so much easier to get to that point where in the next 2 to 3 years, you're making the same amount of money as you would at your 9 to 5 and you can quit your job, you
Yep.
know? And so it's like there are options. Make a choice, I want to like shake people and say, you can question whether this is really working for you and find
And
something else.
I feel like it, and it has to be, and this is one thing. So another specialty of mine is I help small business owners start their business and kind of really craft what they're trying to do and if it's, doable. And so a lot of the times I get these small business owners that'll say, or people who just want to be entrepreneurs and say, okay, well, I want to start this business doing whatever, and I want to make my first $1 million. And I mean, it starts becoming like, okay, that's not really reasonable with the type of business you want. So because I'm sure being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It is a lot of work. Because like with the 9 to 5, the upside to that is once 5 o'clock hits, you're home and you don't have to
You're done.
worry about anything, right? For the most part. Not here, I mean, I have learned throughout the years to set boundaries with clients. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't get bothered, but it's your baby, it's your business. So you're always constantly like thinking of ideas at the dinner table, like, oh wait, I got to write this down. You're constantly working on it. And so for people who lack that work ethic, it's going to be
Mm.
very hard you can be an entrepreneur or business owner, but it's going to be extremely hard to be successful. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the difference between successful, I think, business owners and entrepreneurs and the non-successful ones is that the the blood, sweat, and tears is not there. And it doesn't always have to be that way, but you got to put in the work first, and
Yeah.
it could take you a few years. It could take you a year of just crazy putting in the work, but you have to do it. It doesn't, it's nothing. They just look at you and they think, oh, well, Jody's doing so well. And, she just sits there and drinks her coffee all day, but it's like, okay, Jody didn't sleep for 3 years um, because she wanted to be successful. And so they think sometimes they have the misconception that it's a fly by night and you can become a get rich quick scheme, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not at
Yeah.
all. You
And
constantly be learning your craft.
yeah. Well, I like that you brought that up because but I think people need to weigh it out, is it really worth it to go through the blood, sweat, and tears of growing a business
Yeah,
when, you're killing yourself at a job and never seeing your family? What is your
exactly.
priority there? So, and what are your goals? So
Yeah.
that's so awesome. So one of the questions I like to ask my guests is, you have your family, you have your business, and, clearly both are very important to you. So, what would you say is the legacy that you're building and you want to leave with your family throughout your journey?
So I want to, my big thought for legacy, and I thought about this for a long time, is I want to give my kids choices, right? And so I want it to be to where when they grow up, they can take over the business, they can continue in the family business, but it's not a mandatory thing. If they want to go to college and be a doctor, a vet, an artist, a dancer, whatever, good for them, but I want to give them a different path if they want it. I want to show them that they do not have to kill themselves in a 9 to 5, be in traffic for 2 hours, be so stressed out that, they're developing diseases and all this stuff. Like, I want them to know that entrepreneurship is there. I have the tools. I've built this from the ground up, and there's so much, I mean, gosh. And you were telling me, earlier what business struggles were, and we'll talk about those. They don't have to have these same business struggles that we had back in the day. There's
Yeah.
so much, there's so many more tools out there for them. And I legacy is to leave them that. And if they want to take that, then they have that option and they don't have to feel stuck and live paycheck to paycheck or be the broke college student eating ramen. That doesn't have to be them.
That is awesome. That's so perfect that we live in a time when you can do these things. You don't have to,
Yep.
that was one of the reasons why I started this journey, is because we were kind of trapped in that thinking 9 to 5 was our only option. And then we go, wait, no, there's more options. But because our culture at large is going, this is the only way to success is, get your secure job and work 40 years and get your pension, and going, no,
Yeah.
actually, no, thank you.
No.
This is probably why it comes back to you that you said you don't like to follow the main, the status quo, right? That's really, you don't like to follow the instructions because you're going, wait, is that? No, thank you. You can have that option to reject that and pick something else. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. I loved talking about this and learning about your legacy and, the things that you are doing to enrich your life and your family life. So where can we find you online, and your website or your social links? Where can we get in touch with you to learn more?
Yeah, so my social link is Christina Pena EA, and that is my business page, and you can find out more out there. And I have a couple Facebook groups on there too, so that's the main place where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. But I have to tell you that this is just the beginning. There is more to this episode inside of my Facebook group. I hope that you'll go and request to join that community because it's awesome. There's more podcast content that's exclusive to the group. There's also giveaways, live Q&As, and you can come and ask questions and take part in this awesome community. So please come and request to join at facebook.com/groups/familyculture-strategies. You can also find my page on Facebook at facebook.com/familyculturepodcast. And I'm at Instagram in the same handle, Family Culture Podcast. I hope you'll come and follow me there and join in this movement to create an intentional family culture around being entrepreneurial and integrating and prioritizing your family as you grow your business. So come and join me there. I hope to see you there. You can also come find my website at ourmodernheritage.com. Thank you so much. And remember that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.